skip their bonuses. Are they doing the right thing, or maybe trying to avoid lawsuits?
And so what, right? I mean, either way, what do they say? That, you know, good intentions? Well, let's ask our Fox panel if they feel that way. Mike Norman of the Economic Contrarian Update, Wayne Rogers of Wayne Rogers and Company, Jim Pethokoukis from U.S. News and World Reports, and Peter Schiff, author of Crash Proof. Jimmy, we haven't seen you yet today. Let's take you first. Tell me what you think about this, and does it really matter why we're sitting here judging this guy for not taking his bonus, or does the message get sent in the proper way that he's not taking all that money?
Well, I mean, if the message is supposed to go out to shareholders, don't sue us, we're not taking this money, I don't think that message is going to get through. I mean, here you have not just Bear Stearns, but these other banks having, the so-called smartest guys in the room having mispriced trillions of dollars in securities. Somebody somewhere is going to get sued, or this is the United States of America. On the other hand, by turning down these bonuses, it may lessen the heat a little bit for here in Washington, D.C., for Congress to do something about it. Congress in the past has been very hot about excessive CEO pay, and by forswearing some of this money, there may be less likelihood either this Congress or the next Congress doing something to limit executive compensation.
But Wayne, this really is putting incentives into the marketplace. I mean, Wall Street's famous for that, really using the incentive system to get more out of its people. That's what capitalism is all about, right?
Well, I think there's another thing here, too. It sends a message to their own employees. These are guys who are running these companies who are saying to their own employees, listen, I'm going to forego my bonus this year. I'm not going to penalize everybody else. I'm going to take the hit myself because I made a bad judgment, so I'm going to take the hit myself. So it's not just for the outside, for the shareholders or for somebody who's going to sue them. It's also for their internal purposes.
Peter Schiff, what do you think?
Well, I think the lawsuits are going to come regardless of these gestures, which is probably the least they can do. What these CEOs should be doing is giving back their bonuses for the last several years, because the profits they made last year and the year before that all sowed the seeds for the losses that they're about to experience, that they're experiencing now and they're going to experience over the next couple of years. So they really earn those bonuses under false pretense.
They get paid to take risks, whether it pays off, because sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
They really weren't taking risks. They were throwing money away. They were making a lot of money in the short run, sacrificing the long-term profitabilities of their companies.
Well, and again, as Liz was saying, there is never any guarantee of success. Sometimes you lose.
Right, but they took their pay off the top. They took their money before
Peter,
their bets went bad.
You couldn't see, but I was actually throwing that to Mike Norman. But I appreciate the response, but Mike, go ahead.
Liz is absolutely right. Every business entails risk. These guys had it so right for decades. They were making so much money. Shareholders were making money. They guessed wrong. Look, what if I'm GE and I make too many jet engines and the demand in the marketplace is not there? Okay, then I have a loss in that unit or whatever. And there are many examples of this sort of thing. They got it wrong. The guy's not taking his bonus. I think Wayne's right, too. It sends a message to the employees that, look, he's going to take a big hit here. And no business is outside the scope of, maybe Peter can do it, but other people can't. We're only human. We're going to get it wrong once in a while. They got it wrong this time, but they've been making a lot of money for shareholders for a long time.
They had it wrong all along the last few years.
Peter,
it's just like saying Enron was fine. Everything was doing great until it blew up.
Wayne?
Well, I agree in both of those cases. The hit is taken in the stock. In other words, if somebody is rewarded with stock and they've made a bad decision, the stock goes down. So they take the hit in the stock. I don't think the fact that they're giving up their bonus, they're not necessarily having to pay back their salary. That's not, I hope, Peter, what you're suggesting. They get paid a salary for doing a certain job. They guess wrong, they get hurt in the stock, and that's the way it should be.
Jim, I got to tell you, though,
right.
I was once working for the most free market guy in the world, the editor of the Wall Street Journal. He ate the free market for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and he said that these salaries have become too disjointed, even on Wall Street, and that something had to be done, not by the federal government, but internally. Is this an attempt at least to acknowledge that there's a problem by the Wall Streeters?
I don't know if it's an attempt to acknowledge, that there's a problem. I think my earlier point about, making sure Congress doesn't get involved, I think that's part of it. And I think it's also what Wayne said, wanting to sort of set an example for the rest of the company, and also to free up money to keep some of these mid-level, very valuable managers with the company. They want to do that as well. You know, whether they make too much money, ultimately the market's going to decide, and the market's brought them all back to earth with these losses in stocks.
A lot of the bonuses that they made last year were based on the phony mark-to-market value of these securities. And if they had been honestly valuing them, they wouldn't have had these big bonuses last year.
That's a point too, Mike. But in the end, you know, you do have to keep talent who sometimes do make mistakes.
Right.
Am I talking about myself?
You do risk. I think you do risk when you have a system where it's a pure meritocracy like this, where you really don't make much in terms of salary, and everything comes in a performance-based bonus. You risk, you know, that there's an exaggeration that occurs at some point, that people try a little bit too hard, maybe cut corners here and there to make that big money. And I think that is where there's a flaw, perhaps, but it's still a great system. And you said it, it's what enables America to raise these trillions of dollars in capital year after year after year, not only for our country, but for countries all around the world.
You said it. I agreed with you. Thanks for the credit. But it was